Hey folks, welcome back. We're going to do a mix today, a singer-songwriter mix. Just a quick little thing I'm going to run through. I'm going to use all the stock plugins this time. I think the last time we did one of these, I used the extension for the APIs and some other fancy stuff. But you don't need that stuff. You can get perfectly great mixes using the things that come bundled with your Apollo. And that's what I'm going to do today. So let's get started. This is a simple recording with guitar and vocals. I have a guitar left and right and a main vocal. They're recorded at the same time, so there's a lot of bleed, but I'll let you hear it right now without any processing. This is what came into the recording.
You are the lump in my throat. I am the aching in your heart. We are tangled.
Cool. All right, so let's take a look at the first thing I want to do. On any recording like this, I want to take all the parts that are recorded live and I want to check that they're phase coherent. In other words, let's take these two acoustic guitars. I'm going to solo them right fast. We're hearing the vocal bleed into it. There's two ways to check phase here. I can use the utility panel up here, or I can come down here to one of these and flip the phase or flip the polarity on one of these channels. Let's do it this way down here.
You are in my throat. I am the aching in.
I'm sure you can hear that difference. They are in phase right now, so I'm going to leave them the way they are. If you need to put headphones on to hear that, that's cool too. It's just so you know that there is a huge difference between the sound of this
You are
in phase, out of phase. It's going to make your mix a whole lot better if you can hear that. Okay, next thing I want to do is check the phase of the vocal mic with the other two.
You are the lump in my throat. I am the aching.
And that's in phase as well. So you can hear that as well. If I hit that button, it gets really thin.
You are
Really
the
thin.
lump in my throat.
Kind of weird sounding.
I am the aching.
Back to full. Okay, good. Now, next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to close that utility panel right there. Come down here to tape. Let's put some tape on here. This is the included tape extension. This is the oxide. Okay, so let's do this. Let's play it first without the tape extension, and then I'll turn it on.
You are the lump in my throat. I am the aching in your heart. We are tangled. We are stolen. We are living where things are hidden.
Can you hear that body come through? There's a little bit of a hump in the bottom end that comes through, a little what they call a tape bump. And it's a little sparkly at the top too. One more time.
You are the lump in my throat. I am.
Cool. Okay, now let's move on to a couple things with the inserts here. I've already done a few things here, and I'm just going to turn them on as we go. I'm going to do the acoustics first. I'm going to turn these on. And what I've got here, I've got two examples of the precision channel strip. One on the left, one on the right. And I think they're doing the same thing. I just moved them. Yeah, I just copied one to the other. So what's going on with this channel strip? Let me turn it on and then off. We'll do it that way first, and then we'll talk about what's going on. Okay, here's off.
You are the lump in my throat. I am the aching in your heart. We are tangled. We are stolen. We are living with the.
Okay, not a lot going on here, but it is important. What I've done is I've put a high pass filter on here. To do that on the precision channel strip, you just take this knob right here, pull it all the way up, and it becomes a high pass. I'm high passing at 95.2, so somewhere around 100 hertz. Because below that, it's just, you don't need that information for acoustic stuff. It's just gonna jumble everything up and make the MixBus sound kind of wonky. Also, I pulled down a low shelf. To make a shelf, you just pull this knob all the way down to where it says low shelf. Around 166, and I pulled a fair bit of that low end out. That's a 5 dB pull down right there. And then this circuit is feeding into the dynamics circuit. So this is your compressor right here. I have this on a about a normal ratio. It's a 4-to-1 ratio, about a millisecond attack, 30 millisecond release. So it's a fast release, and I'm letting some of the transients go through the compressor before it gets hit.
The aching in your heart. We are tangled. We are stolen.
And you can see right there, right at the beginning of this tune, it's really not doing anything. I'm just hitting some peaks. Let me get to a louder part, and we'll see how much gain reduction we've got here.
We are hate. We are the feeling I get when you walk away.
So at the most, probably almost 2 dB of gain reduction. But without this channel strip here, well, listen to this again.
We are hate. We are the feeling I get when you walk away.
One reason, by the way, that I have copied the settings from one to the other on the left and right is that to keep phase coherency, that's an old trick you can do. If you do one EQ move, do it to the other side of what you're recording to, or at least pretty close, because the phase shift may get kind of wonky towards the end of the signal. Okay, so there we are on those two. Let's move on now to the vocal mic. I also have a precision channel strip here. I'm going to turn that off first, and then we'll turn it on.
You are the dream in my nightmare.
Okay, so this is doing a little bit of everything. I've got all the bands on the EQ working and the compressor. So let's walk through this right fast. I've got a high pass at 120K. I'm just cutting out all the low end basically out of this microphone. I've got a little bit of a dip at 642. This is the beginning of the range of the vocals where you start getting real nasally sound coming through, and up to about 1.3K is the same. And I've got a pretty big pull down right there. A little bit of a dip up here around 3.5K and 10K, really inconsequential. It just seemed like I needed a little bit of a dip maybe. That's feeding into the compressor, which I also have on a 4-to-1 ratio. A little bit faster attack than the other ones, and then a little bit slower release than the guitars. Let's listen to that again. Here's off.
We are hate. We are the feeling I get when you walk away. Walk away.
Now let's listen to all of those together with just the precision channel strips and the tape.
We are hate. We are the feeling I get when you walk away. Walk away.
For comparison, let's listen to those without it.
We are hate. We are the feeling I get when you walk away. Walk away.
Cool. So we're starting to sculpt the sound a little bit so that we can we can get it to where we want it in the end. Let's look at the next bit of processing. Just on the acoustic guitars here, I have the 1176 LN, which comes free with your Apollo. And on both of these, I think I did the same thing. I just sort of copied it over. Once I got one set, it was good. What we have going on here is a sort of a medium attack. These compressors attack pretty fast anyway, even at the slowest speed. But in the world of 1176s, this is a kind of a medium attack and a fast release. 4-to-1 ratio.
We are hate. We are the feeling I get when you walk away. Walk away.
And again, that's at the loudest part of the song, pretty much, and we're hitting at about 5 dB of gain reduction right there.
We are hate. We are the feeling I get when you walk away. Walk away.
Very cool. Now on the vocal mic, I chose a different compressor. This is an LA2A compressor. This is the legacy version that comes with your Apollo. We'll listen to it without it first and then with it.
We are hate. We are the feeling I get when you walk away.
Now if you notice, that got a lot more body in it. It seemed to bring up some of the chest area when I turned that on. I'll turn it off again.
Tongue. We are tangled. We are stolen. We are buried up to our necks in sand. We're luck, we're fate.
Very cool. All three of those now.
Tongue, we are tangled, we are stolen. We are buried up to our necks in sand.
Okay, so far we have a little bit of compression on the precision channel strips, some EQ, a little bit more compression using the 1176 and LA2A. Now let's carve out a little bit of these sounds with the Pultec. You go back to the guitars. I'm just going to pull up one of them and listen to just the guitars here.
We are tangled, we are stolen. We are buried up to our necks in sand. We're locked.
So what's this thing doing? If I turn it off, let's listen to it without it first.
We are tangled, we are stolen. We are buried up to.
You may not think that's doing much, but it actually kind of is. What I've done here is I've used the bottom EQ. This is the EQ P1, and I am boosting frequencies at 10 kilohertz. I've got it on the broadest band. That means a huge curve up there at the top, and I'm boosting a little bit there, but I'm also attenuating at 10 kilohertz with this knob. And that seems counterintuitive, but what it's doing is if you think about the curve of an EQ, if you boost the top end and then shave off the very top part of that boost at the very top, it creates sort of a resonant filter. And this is so huge that it's not a resonant filter. It's just kind of pushing up a little bit of the brilliance of the guitar pick at the top. There's without. And with. Cool. Let's take a look at the vocal mic. I've got the Pultec again, and on this one I'm using the MEQ 5 and the EQ P1A. So here's off.
Tongue, we are tangled, we are stolen. We are buried up to our necks in sand. We're locked.
Okay, so what I'm doing here, same idea. I'm boosting at 10 kilohertz with a very broad shelf, a little bit more than I was with the guitars. I'm also, I'm not attenuating at the 10K here, but I am dipping on this EQ up here at 1K. That's that nasally kind of area, right? So I'm dipping some of that out, and I'm boosting some of the 200 hertz, which is kind of the chest area of the vocals. Here it is without.
Tongue. We are tangled,
and
we are stolen. We are buried up to our necks.
Okay, let's listen to everybody together.
Tongue, we are tangled, we are stolen. We are buried up to our necks in sand. We're locked.
Okay, for comparison, let's listen to everything without any processing and then with the processing.
Tongue, we are tangled, we are stolen. We are buried up to our necks in sand. Tongue, we are tangled, we are stolen. We are buried up to our necks in sand. We're locked.
Okay, cool. Let's take a look now at the MixBus. I have sent everything to this bus that I've made. It's called a MixBus. And I have a precision channel strip on there. I'm going to undo these solos because everything's going to it. And let me turn this on because I'm doing a couple things here. I've got a low frequency dip around 150 hertz. Those are the, that's the area that can get jumbled up in a mix. So I'm just pulling that down a little bit. And also I am pulling down a little bit of the 6K. And that's an area that can get kind of harsh. So I'm pulling that down a little bit. And I'm using the compressor as a bus compressor in this case. And I've got it set to about 3-to-1. Slow attack, pretty fast release. And I have switched the order of these two modules. If you notice this button right here. I am now feeding the dynamics first into the EQ. The reason I'm doing that is because I want to compress it and then shape the compressed sound. Usually these, modules go EQ, then compression. But in this case, I'm just used to doing this way on mix buses. I'll compress first and then I'll EQ. So that's what I've done here. Let me turn this off and then I'll turn it on.
Tongue, We are tangled, we are stolen. We are buried up to our necks in sand. We are luck, we are fate. We are the feeling you get in the go.
Cool. Fills out everything a little bit. Let me turn on this pull tech. I have another pull tech that I'm also using to EQ the MixBus. In this case, I am pushing 10K pretty far just to get a lot of the brilliance in the air that's up in this mix, right? I'm dipping a tiny bit at 200 hertz on this top shelf, and I'm dipping a tiny bit at 30. And this 30 you would think would not do anything, but this shelf down here on a Pultec EQ is really big. Even if you're at 30 hertz, that shelf probably goes up to 500 or 600 hertz. I'm pulling a tiny bit out because I just don't want the rumble of it. So let me turn this off and then on.
Tongue, we are tangled, we are stolen. We are buried up to our necks in sand. We are luck, we are fate. We are the feeling you get.
Okay, now let's talk about effects. So that's a basic mix, and that's fine. If you just wanted a dry mix, you could stop right then and print. But I think this needs some effects. So what I've got here, I'm going to pull these in. And we'll talk about these. So I have, first of all, let's go to this Verb. I'm using a Real Verb Pro because that comes with the Apollo. Let me turn it on. I'm sending everything to that reverb. And it sounds like this.
Tongue. We are buried up to our necks in sand. We're luck.
Nice. It's got a little tail on it. And what I've done here is I've set it to a preset called Church. No idea what kind of church this is. It says it's an A-frame, shoebox shape, hardwood. It's also bouncing off water, which is cool. I've got the mix at 100%. And what I did was I come down here to the timing of this, and I raise this tail a little bit. You can see this little number right here. I've got about a 3-second tail on this reverb.
Tongue, we are tangled.
Cool. It just sort of fills in the gaps. You know, let me go back to the beginning, and I think you'll hear it a little better.
You are the hole in my head.
Perfect. I also use the plate because I think this comes with the Apollos now. This is the pure plate. If it doesn't come with them, I'm so sorry. This is the small version of the EMT plate. It's so cool. You should have this. Or if you don't have the full EMT plate, you should have this. It's very simple. Let's go through this thing right fast here. We've got a low cut. So what that means is when the signal comes into this plate, by the way, everything is going to this plate. I can show you down here. The plate, everything is going to it. So this low cut means that we're cutting off the low frequencies that are going to the reverb. I also have a little bit of a pre-delay. Pre-delay means that there's a little bit of time before the reverb starts. That's basically all it means. I'm set at about a 2-second plate time, reverb time here. Boosting a tiny bit of treble. This mix is on wet, so this knob doesn't matter. And balance is in center because why would I change that? I would never change that. You could if you wanted. Okay, so now let me mute the real verb and we'll just listen to the pure plate.
You are.
Has a nice tail on it. Now if I mix these two verbs,
you are the whole.
cool. Now I also thought that needed a little bit more processing on that plate. So what it did, grab the precision channel and we put a high pass on it all the way up to 300 or 250 hertz, cutting everything below that. And up here I've got a low pass, cutting everything about 3K, above 3K, because it just seems to fit better that way with everything else in my opinion. The dynamics is not on. So there is nothing going on there. It's just using the EQ. Yeah, cuts it down a little bit, right? Let me try that with the real verb. Nice. Cool. Okay, so next thing I've got here is a delay. Real simple. I'm using this as a sort of a tape delay. This is the Precision Delay mod, and it's free with your stuff. I've got it on, I'm only using one side. This can be a dual delay, but I'm only using one at about 200 milliseconds. So it's sort of like a, this is a kind of a long slap. I will turn this on. I'm going to turn off the reverbs. Let's listen to this. Ooh, that's faint. Let me turn it up. Hear that little slap at the end? That's going to be on everything, even the vocals.
You are the hole in my head. I am
Put the reverb back in.
pain in your neck. You are the lump in my throat. I am the aching in your heart.
Okay, the next thing I'm going to send these things through is the Precision Reflection Engine. This is an amazing plugin, by the way. I can't believe it's free, but it's really cool. What it does is it gives you control over what are called early reflections. So it will make a space that you can put a sound into. What I've done here is created a space to put all of these tracks into. Let me solo these and I'll mute the reverbs. And so what I've done is I've sort of made a room, okay? And I think you'll know what I mean when I turn this up. Hear that very faint tail at the end of that when I turn it off? When I hit stop, listen to what happens. That's what happens when you're inside of a room. And so what I've done is created space around this recording to make it seem like it's in a room. This was actually not recorded in a room. This was recorded in an office, actually. So I'm kind of creating that sound around it. Cool, right? Now, if I mix that all into the other reverb and delays,
You are the hole in my head. I am the pain in your neck.
cool. So what's going on here? This is the last thing I'm going to talk about. This is a parallel track that I've sent everything, both guitars and the vocals, into, and I'm treating it like it's its own track because I'm sending some of it to the Reverb, the Reverb Pro, and I'm sending it some of it to the room as well. But the main thing I'm doing, I'm going to mute those two things first and just solo this track. So that is the mix of these three tracks being sent to a bus. Now I'm going to start compressing this pretty hard at 12:1 ratio, kind of a slow attack, medium, slow release.
You are the hole in my head. I am.
Now you may be wondering, why would I do that? Why would I put something through a compressor that hard and then use it in a mix? The reason why is because it's taking low level information, which means the quieter parts, and bringing them up in level, and it's pulling the higher level information, which is the loud parts, and pushing them down. And if I mix those into the regular track, it sounds much fuller, okay? So I hope you're following that. So that's why I have so much compression here.
You are.
Next up on this track is the precision channel strip again, which I'm doing a little bit of EQ. So I'm not doing much with this EQ. I'm pulling a little bit out at 2.5K. I mean, just a tiny bit. And I've made a shelf up here at about 1.7 and pulled that down as well. There's no dynamics here, and so those are off. I've got plenty of dynamics with the 1176. So this now sounds like this. I'll turn it off and then we'll turn it on.
You are the hole in my head. I am.
What I've done there is pulled a little bit of that harshness out, just a tiny bit, and it helps. Then I put in the oxide tape, and I'm pushing this into tape a little bit, not very much.
You are.
Just to round off some of the transients. That's all I'm doing there. I want to send those to the sends I've set up and mix this into the whole thing.
You are the hole in my head. I am the pain in your neck. You are the lump in my throat. I am the...
Okay, that's all there is to this mix. Now, if I go through, I'm going to mute the auxiliaries and buses. I'm going to turn all of the effects off, and we'll take a listen to the difference. Here's no effects.
The pain in your neck. You are the lump in my throat.
And I'm going to start slowly pulling all the effects in that we've done.
You are the hole in my head. I am the pain in your neck. You are the lump in my throat. I am the aching in your heart. We are tangled, we are stolen, we are living where things are hidden. You are something in my eye. I am the shiver down your spine, and you are the lick of my lips. I am on the tip of your tongue. Our next way of luck, way of fate, way of feeling you get golden state. We are love.
I feel like this reverb here is a little bit heavy in the bottom end, so I'm going to grab another precision channel strip and pull out some of that low end.
The pain in your neck. You are the lump in my throat. I am the aching in your heart. We are tangled, we are stolen, we are living where things are hidden. You are something in my eye. I am the shiver down your spine, and you are the lick of my lips. I am on the tip of your tongue. We are tangled, we are stolen, we are buried up to our necks in sand. We are luck, we are fate, we are the feeling you get in the golden state. We are love, we are hate, we are the feeling I get when you walk away, walk away. You are the dream in my nightmare. I am that falling sensation. You are my needles and pins. I am your hangover morning. We are tangled, we are stolen, we are living where things are hidden. We are luck, we are fate, the feeling you get in the Golden State. We're love, we are hate, we are the feeling I get when you walk away, walk away, walk away. You are the hole in my head, I am the pain in your neck. You are the lump in my throat, I am the aching in your heart.
All right. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it. If you like this video, please hit the like, please hit the subscribe. More videos are coming very soon.